Have you ever felt someone pull away, yet deep inside, you could still feel their presence? As if their silence was not rejection, but a message only your spirit could hear. God says, this person may be quiet now, but their heart still speaks your name. And before this video ends, you'll understand why that silence is not the end, but a side of something divine still unfolding. There's a mystery about love that only heaven fully understands. We see absence, but God sees alignment. Sometimes, when two souls are deeply connected, He allows one to step back, not to end what was, but to refine what will be. It's in that space of silence that God begins to work on both hearts. Just as Ecclesiastes 3:7 says, a time to keep silence and a time to speak. What looks like distance to you might be God's preparation behind the veil. You see, love that's ordained by God isn't loud. It doesn't always come wrapped in words, promises, or constant presence. It often hides in stillness, in longing, in spiritual whispers you can't explain. That's why your spirit still stirs when you think of them, because your hearts once spoke the same heavenly language. It's like two rivers that were separated for a time, only to merge again in due season. But here's the truth. God sometimes allows separation so He can reveal intention. Proverbs 19:21 says, "Many are the plans in a man's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails." So while you wonder if they've forgotten you, heaven is measuring the motives of both hearts. It's not rejection, it's redirection. God is filtering emotions from divine assignment. Think of Joseph in Genesis 50:20, betrayed, sold, forgotten, but only for a while. The silence wasn't punishment, it was placement. What looked like abandonment was God positioning him for greater purpose. Some of you are in that same stage right now, feeling the ache of distance, yet heaven is saying, I'm still writing this story. So don't rush to erase what God is still editing. Don't assume their silence means disconnection. Sometimes, silence is the proof that something sacred is being refined. Isaiah 30:15 says, "In quietness and trust shall be your strength." God uses quiet seasons to test faith and deepen spiritual roots. If this message is touching something inside you, pause for a moment, breathe, and comment the word faith below. Because faith is what bridges the gap between silence and restoration. God says, the reason their heart still speaks your name is because the connection wasn't built on flesh, it was anchored in spirit. You may not be talking, but the prayers you once shared still echo in the unseen. Every memory, every tear, every whisper has become a seed in the soil of divine timing. The question now isn't whether they still think of you, it's whether you're ready for what God is preparing in the silence. Because when He finally releases the next chapter, you'll see that He wasn't withholding love, He was perfecting it. There's something powerful about the way God speaks through silence. You see, when someone pulls away, it can feel like the story is over, but heaven often speaks in pauses, not endings. And right now God is saying, the quiet between you two is not empty, it's sacred. Their heart still speaks your name even when their lips do not. In the stillness, God is working on alignment. He's softening hearts, reshaping desires, and healing wounds you didn't even know existed. In Psalm 46:10, He says, "Be still and know that I am God." That's not just a command to stop worrying, it's an invitation to trust His unseen hand. The silence you're hearing is God's whisper saying, wait, I'm not done yet. Sometimes two people need to grow apart so they can grow right. Love that's not built on purpose will always fade, but love that's refined by God's fire becomes unbreakable. Maybe this person isn't speaking because God is pruning pride, teaching humility, or restoring clarity. Remember what Romans 8:28 says, all things work together for good to those who love God. That includes the heartbreak, the distance, the unanswered prayers. It's easy to think they've moved on, but the truth is, their spirit still carries traces of you. They may not admit it, But when God bonds two souls with purpose, He doesn't allow that connection to disappear. It becomes spiritual residue, something that can't be washed away by time or distraction. Song of Solomon 8:7 says, "Many waters cannot quench love, neither can the floods drown it." That kind of love isn't emotional, it's divine. But here's what God wants you to understand. This season is not about waiting for a message from them. It's about becoming the person God destined you to be. He's using their silence to teach you stillness. He's using your longing to awaken purpose. Sometimes the miracle isn't that they come back. It's that you no longer chase what isn't aligned. And when you surrender it fully, that's when heaven moves. Think about Elijah in 1 Kings 19. God didn't speak in the wind or the earthquake or the fire, but in a gentle whisper. That's how He speaks about this person to your heart. Quietly, constantly, through conviction, through dreams, through timing. And when that timing comes, you'll see why the delay was necessary. So don't lose faith. Every tear you've cried is being counted. Every unanswered question is being turned into purpose. When the moment is right, God will either restore what's divine or replace it with something that reveals His glory. Either way, you won't lose, because what's meant for you will not stay silent forever. And when that day comes, it won't be about chasing closure. It'll be about witnessing completion. Two pieces of a divine puzzle finally fitting together just as He planned. Now, I want you to comment one word below that speaks to your heart right now. It could be trust, patience, or alignment. Whatever word your spirit whispers, write it, because that's the seed of your next miracle. If this message spoke to your soul, don't just watch and scroll. Subscribe, share it, and join me on this journey of divine revelation and purpose. Remember, God's silence is never absence, it's preparation for the promise.